hit the ball because we want the ball to rise before it drops, so that way you can have height. Okay, so what does that mean then? So that means I have to have the ball in contact closer to me, so that way I can hit the ball spin. So if you notice my hand is like right at the top of the net, but if I rotate and spin into the ball when I keep, the ball's going to drop. Spin. But the ball, when I hit it, what you notice, it went higher over the net than I can reach. So the ball gained height before it dropped. Does that make sense? So that's actually what your goal is to make it. So we have a saying like on our teams, every swing that we take has to cross at the mid pin. Because why do we say mid pin? Most blockers are not higher than the mid pin. Most blockers are a little beneath it, pressing. Does that make sense? So your job then is to try to attack the ball to cross the net at mid pin, so you're never at risk of getting blocked straight down. Okay, ready? So we're here, high, get above. Good. Okay, now you tell me the difference between the first swing and the second swing. Yeah, so that was way higher. How much harder were you able to hit that? There's no comparison on the speed of the first and the second ball. That's a great swing. And that swing that you did, that was just relative to you putting the ball in a different place. Relative to you. Nothing really changed other than you had better alignment. So what do? You work really hard on making your feet aligned to the ball. Ready? Okay, get your alignment there, swing. Okay. Awesome. Let's just keep working on that. That's beautiful. Okay, ready? Go, first step, get your alignment there, go. Good. So when we have a rule of the in your head, then what do you stop doing? Yeah, you stop letting the ball drop, and then you stop having the mentality of like, I have to bounce this ball straight down. Because remember, those are the swings that get people blocked. They just do, right? You can, because a blocker can be late, and if you're trying to bounce, they can still get their hands up and get a cheap touch. But if you're swinging high mid-pin, if they're late, you're going to swing over them, and then there's nothing they can do. So how do we get the ball to drop? It's just through a massive amount of spin, right? And that's you at contact, making sure that you have some leverage. Swing. So that's going to be a tough swing because where did you approach? Did you catch the ball? Did your chest catch it between you and me, or did your chest catch it between you and the net? And if it's between you and the net, so you don't hit the net, what do? You keep the ball in front of you, and if you keep the ball in front of you, where's your hand have to swing? Down, so you're at risk of getting blocked. Where if you keep the ball between you and me with your chest coming into the court, then what happens? Then you have rotation anywhere you want. Does that make sense? Okay. Come on, we'll get it. Okay, big first step. Keep it between you and me. Go. How is it great? Here's the thing. When we look at it, we're not saying, hey, you need to make an arm swing adjustment or anything like that. Literally, the only adjustment we want you to make is with your, so that we position the ball better with that same arm swing. We want you to have the same arm swing. The ball's contacting beautifully. You have tons of power. You've got lots of spin. We just need to get to it higher. Okay. Closer now. Which step is fair a little bit as far as position? Third step. Yep. Because where's your weight? Is it forward or is it back? Right now, currently, it's forward. Yeah. The only reason we would jump out is because when you're forward, watch. So put your weight forward on your third step. Now step for balance. So you step really wide. So now watch. So step with your weight back, with your weight up on 3, and now step for balance. Where's that going to take you? Take you up. Yeah. So where's your weight going? Forward. Where do we need your weight to be? Up. Yeah. Just think about just upright. Okay. So third step, keep your weight upright. First step, keep it upright. Now go. There you go. That's great stuff. Ready? First step. Chest up. Now. Yeah. So you kept that really far out. So anytime it's in front and not up, you have to reach. And anything that reaches, again, two factors that get us in trouble. It's a downswing and it's a low swing, right? Up. Nope. Okay. Which step? It's the third step. You've got it way bigger. Show me your without the ball. I want you to feel yourself going really aggressive with that step. Okay? So 1, 2, lean back, really aggressive. Okay, so I want to see that. That's what we're not seeing right now. Okay? More aggressive on your third step. So you go, your first step is just to get started. Your second step is direction. Your third step is all in for spacing so you can get up. Does that make sense? So there you go. So first step, direction, now all in. Got it. Look at the angle here. That's awesome, right? There you go. Give me 2. We'll get you. First step. Stay. first steps, again, they're just positioning steps so you can be more aggressive into getting closer to the ball in your third step. So that's really what we are interested in, okay? So they're slow and they're deliberate, and then your third step is as fast and as aggressive as you can be to the ball, okay? You ready? Step, direction, now attack. Good. Yep, take some. Good, right? So when we think about the window of attack, right? Often we think about the window of attack like, if I were to use the cart, okay, and we say like, this is this, a lot of times we look at the window of attack like this, like you're trying to hit the ball into this. When in reality, we want it to be more like looking up into the window of attack like this. Does that make sense? So when you're going up to the ball, we want to see the ball like looking up and into the cart, not looking out and into the cart. Does that make sense? Because if you're looking up and you're trying to hit the ball into the cart at this angle, think about this being way above you, where you're actually striking the ball. You're striking the ball up. But a lot of times people try to look at the window like this, and I think that's where we make the mistake. So, and then how do we see that window? Yeah, you use your eyes so to the spot on the ball. So you have to think, okay, if my window looks like up here, and that's what I'm trying to swing into. Because again, if we put the cart up there, I wouldn't want you to hit the ball lower than the cart, like into that part. So I want you to hit into the cart up here. That's the window I want you in. So in order to do that, you have to look at what part of the ball correlates to that. And the part of the ball that correlates to that is here. When you hit into the cart, the part of the ball that correlates is here. So right now, you have to ask yourself, do I look at the ball here, or do I look at the ball here? Be honest, where do you look at typically? Probably in the middle, most people do. So that's why your third step has to be a little closer, because it changes your view or your perspective of the ball to where? To the bottom up, exactly. Okay, ready? So let's see. Now go window up. That's awesome. That's such a different swing too. Then you stop worrying about blockers, because even if a blocker is there, you're in an up angle, and if they touch it, is it going to go straight down? Probably not. It'll probably block high back, or maybe it goes off their hands and over. And if you hit hard enough, what's the goal? You hit it off their hands and it goes way, way, way out of bounds. Okay? So change your view, find your angle, go. Yep. And which step hurts you on that one? Third step, for sure. Okay, you ready? Step, find it, up. Step up. Okay. I still think you go bigger in third step. So this is where people think that they need to be super far away from the ball, but they think if I take a longer approach, it's always going to be better. Think about the distance. So if you take a longer approach, do you tend to jump higher, or do you tend to jump more out, broad jump? Tend to broad jump a little bit more. So what we start realizing is we don't have to start as far back as we sometimes think we need to, because we want to go angle it, especially on the outside. So you realize, like, okay, I don't have to be behind the gray line. I can start a little bit in front of the gray line, but I'm probably more beneficial if you maybe fourth and hash out. So you can scoot over. There you go. Right, so now I'm a little closer, which allows me to get up instead of out to the ball. Okay? Here we go. First step. Now go up, swing. Right? The only thing that changed was you delayed your arm swing. Just go get it. And it's going to feel weird because you're not used to seeing the ball up as much, and their natural inclination is like, I'm going to hit these balls out. You're not, because what's going to keep it in? Spin. Yeah, spin will keep it in. Okay? So here you go. Start, up, and rip. Way better. Nice. Good ball. Ready? Here you go. First step. Up, swing. First step. Up, swing. Ready for step? Hip in, go. Then what do we recognize as far as the coordination of our body? What two parts of our body have to work together? The hip and the elbow, right? The hip and the elbow. So the hip is going to take the elbow, and the elbow controls the chop into the ball. So those are the two pieces. So when we're jumping off our toes, we want to make sure that we load the hip, right? So we get the swivel point of our hip to the ball, so that way when we rotate, we can get the other side to carry the chop into space. Does that make sense to you? Okay. Ready? So step, swivel, chop. Yes. That's how you hit a line. What did you sell them? Yeah, you sold them angle. So if you saw you and you're blocking, and you see them coming aggressively inside, where would you block? You probably would take a angle, but you created all of your own space because as soon as you got to the ball here, you're able to catch it above. That's why you can't catch it out here. You have to catch it above you because I'm here, and then all of a sudden the ball's over here, and you have a free swing to the line. So that's a really good job as long as you keep it above you. Does that make sense? Okay. Get to the ball, upright, swing. Was that rotation or was that all hand and shoulder? Yeah, so when you try to feel direction with your hand and shoulder, what happens? It tends to go out. Yeah, remember, so all direction is what? It's all visual, yeah. All the feel of the game. So like people, they tell you to feel shots. Actually, when you feel shots, you're not feeling direction. What are you actually feeling? The amount of power and spin on the ball. That's what we're trying to feel. What are we trying to see? We see direction. We see where the direction of the ball is. And why do we see it? Because there's something that's very beneficial here. There's a spot on the ball that goes to spots on the court. So if I hit this specific spot, the ball has to go that direction. I just have to feel how much spin and how much power I'm putting with it. Okay? There you go. So see your shot, and then feel the power and the spin. What kind of spin did you put on that one? So it's a little side spin. So if it's side spin, is that hip rotation or is that shoulder? Shoulder for sure. Okay? So load that left hip, push it in there, rotate. Okay, so that's why, remember, so we talked last time about trying not to pivot around because that rocks your hips out. So remember, what do we want to do from your heel? You heel, and then we drive. So then when you drive, you can do what? Yeah, you can push and rotate your hip, okay? So that's what I want you to feel. Get to your heel step, okay? So toe up, heel, step through, drive, and then you can rotate. Exactly. And so this arm just has to stay with over your shoulder the whole time. So it's over your shoulder. The reason it gets behind your shoulder because what moves? Your head moves, and then you get back to it, okay? You ready? Up. Up. So did you catch that between you and the court or you and the net? So remember, where's on the court? This way, right? So the court's all this way. Your chest, you're trying to get into the angle. Try to get to the ball with your chest into the court, and then off your toes, then you load your hip into the court. And then you have all your shots, okay? So everything's into the court. Trap the ball into the court. Now, here we go. Yeah, so right now you're just watching the last two swings. Where's your visual? Is it going into the card or is it up to the card? Into the card, because which step is too far away? Third step is changing your eyes. Remember, so your third step is going to control where your eyes are. Does that make sense? So what are we actually looking for on the ball? The up part of the ball, not the middle of the ball. So that's up to you on your third step to get a visual to the up part of the ball, okay? So we step up part of the ball. Now, good. Okay? And so that's a huge deal for you to start looking for the space to get to. Remember, we will hit in great detail what we look at. We're like hand-eye coordination just functions that way. So if you start looking for the up part of the swing, what's going to happen? You're going to go up there, yeah. You're coordinating up. Your brain will tell your feet to get you to the up part of the ball. But you have to decide that that's the only way you want to see it. Because if that's the way you want to see it, that's what you're going to see. Does that make sense? So like our brain has something that's a weird thing called a reticular activating system. You ever heard of that before? Okay. So it's like a filter. So it's essentially, it's like you put in your brain, you filter out, this is what I want to see. Because our brain takes in like billions of bits of information every second. But it filters out all the non-relevant things to us. Does that make sense? So, okay, so if you make looking up into the ball the most relevant thing, what is your brain going to do? It's going to show you where that is, and you're only going to see that. So then what are you going to do? You're going to approach up to that space every single time. So you have to train your brain to say, this is what I want to see, and then you look for it. Because if you're actively looking for it, what are you going to do? You're going to see it all the time. So if you're, so like in here right now, if I said, find me 3 things that are yellow, really quick, what do you do? There you go. Yeah, you found it really fast, right? And you ignored all the other colors and you just saw yellow. That's all you're looking for. So that's how this looks. So if you're only looking for up spaces, what are you going to find? There it is. So that's where I want your brain to go right now. Okay? Up spaces, up spaces, up spaces. Now in that up space, I want you to hit the crap out of it. Because what are you proving with your arm? It's fast or slow? You think your arm is so good? your arm is fast, right? So what would happen if you brought all of your speed into that up angle? Yeah, let's see it. Because you took one of your earlier swings where it all came together. I mean, you hit the living daylights out of that ball. So again, like, could we always make it faster? Sure, but you have to give yourself credit. When you were hitting the ball as hard as you could over the weekend, did you get kills every time? Probably. I would assume you got kills all left and right. Okay. So same thing. It'll continue to happen, but go see the ball and then hit it hard. So here's what's interesting about this, is the speed of your chop is probably not going to change that much. Where do we get more speed? It's going to be the speed of your hips. With your chop, that speeds everything up. Are your hips ever going to feel fast in your speed? No, it'll feel very slow. So in your process of getting better, you're going to think, my hips aren't really going that fast. But even any little increase of rotation here, adding on to this, makes a huge difference. It exponentially makes you hit harder. But it actually, because you're using your hips, it actually will feel like you're slowing everything down, but you're getting more out of it. It's like a weird thing. Does that make sense? So instead of thinking about your arms speeding up, I want you to think about your hips speeding up, and then it forces you to use your hips, right? Ready? Hips, go. Good. I'll get you off. That's a core set, sorry. Ready? Step. Now hips, go. So when you're aiming into the ball in your rotation and you're using your hips, what happens? You feel yourself taking your hip into your chop, and then all your chop has to do is just make contact and control the spin of it all. But again, your arm is already going fast, which is great. Now just add the hip to it. So you get a little direction. Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. So the only reason that ball went out is you just delayed on it. What if you attacked it early without delay? Yeah, you'll get that ball going. Go, swing. Good. You ready? Step, tap, swing. Good. So now what would be the best tempo of jumping contact? What would it sound like? In 2 claps. Yeah, point 2. Jump contact. Jump contact. So on the jump, what are you feeling on the jump? It's the most important thing on the jump. Stretch, and then hold contact, right? So on the jump, stretch, hold contact. Okay? If you can get stretch and pull contact in point 2, it's unbelievable what happens. You will maximize your height and you'll maximize your power all at the same time. Okay? Ready? Jump contact. Yep. Yeah, you caught it between you and the net, and because of that, you delayed. So like we were a whole more than a tenth of a second behind on that, and you could see like the angle to the net really slowed you down. The ball dropping slowed you down. The ball tape, all that stuff. So come into the angle and then get a stretch and pull. Good. Feel yourself into your peak, or just feel yourself from your peak? Yeah, it was a drop. It was from your peak. Just faster. Get to that ball, right? So there you go. Swing. That time you rotated, you caught it high, you didn't let the ball drop, right? That's awesome. But every time, that's it. But what's the secret? You have to get loaded off your toes. If you don't get loaded off your toes and lifting, then you have to take the time to try to wind your arm, wind your shoulder, which takes too long, so you'll always be on a drop. But if you can off your toes, get loaded, get here, then you can immediately start swinging, and it'll take you into that upward view into the cart that we showed you, right? Ready? And go. No, that was awesome. You know why that was awesome? You out-jumped the ball, but you refused to swing in the middle of the ball, so you swung up. So what did you feel? You had to swing, but you had to swing earlier in order to get the up angle. Does that make sense? You out-jumped that ball by far, and so in order to maintain it, you had to swing earlier. So naturally, you swung earlier, even though you weren't in perfect rhythm with your feet, your contact remained super what? Super high. Yeah, that's awesome. You're following the rules. Now what are you realizing? If I have to always swing in the upswing, things have to speed up. Now how do you make it more dynamic? Just be more aggressive at it, right? Your feet. Get there, swing. I would say take it a little bit more this way. Got it. A little bit here. What's the one rule that you're noticing on every ball that you're seeing between you and the net? Even though you're seeing it on the up angle, but the net comes into play almost on every single one of those, right? So just now a little bit more of keeping your chest into the court, into the ball, and into the court, so that you can rotate your shots instead of feel like you're fronting your shot. rotation. Okay? Just up and in. Ready? Step. Now. Okay, so tell me what happened on that one that was so much different than some of the others. Because we're gonna preface this. We love that swing. That was an awesome swing. It was high. There was a ton of power. But what changed for you to make that happen? Yeah. But you went faster into the up angle with rotation, as opposed to with shoulder. You actually went up with your hip more than anything else. And I'm telling you, it's adding, just getting your hip rotating to the ball is adding so much power. That's phenomenal. And if you're doing it on the up angle too, fantastic. Did you have to swing earlier or later to achieve that? Yeah, you got to swing earlier. And that's recognized. Earlier is better. Yeah, for sure. Ready? Now, good. Give me 5 again. You ready? Okay. Up, earlier. So you made a late decision to go line, so what part of your body can make the swing? Did you feel your arm did? So if you make a late decision, what do you realize with your arm? When you try to swing hard, it tends to go out. So if you're going to make a late decision with your arm to stay high, you have to turn it into like a roll shot. It's not going to be like an upward, like way high ball, but you're going to like it's going to be, you're here, and you're going to have to chip it. Also, it has leverage to go in, because if you try to swing hard and flat, what happens? It goes out. There's only 30 feet of court. So to hit a ball out 30 feet is really easy, especially as hard as you hit. So if you're gonna use your shoulder, you have to realize shoulder equals shots, not power. Does that make sense? Ready? Up, swing. And I still think you can swing earlier on that ball. Ready? Now, and I hope you can tell the difference on that swing compared to the other swing. Because the time frame is so much, it's so like minute, right? Like we don't feel like a tenth of a second faster means much, because like in our everyday life, like tenth of a second means nothing. In this, what does a tenth of a second mean? It's a difference between a ton more power, a ton more height, and way more leverage. Like between those two swings, that swing was way more dynamic than the one you did before. The one before wasn't a bad swing, it was just you were a little late. But that one you were on time, and it's unbelievably different from a visual standpoint. I watched that swing and I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, it's a rhythm, it's high, it's hard, it's everything you want to see. The swing before, you're like, well, it's a good swing, but there's a delay. Does that make sense? Now, slight delay. You feel it? And if you just decide, like, I'm gonna go get that ball, it wasn't again, it's not a bad swing. We're talking about a tenth of a second. Just go faster, right? Just go faster. Now, did you take it into the court or into the net? Yeah. And so the net's always dangerous. Grab it. And the only way to have all of it is you can't approach where? Because if you approach the net and use your hips, half of your swing is where? Out of bounds. Whereas if you use this, your full range, your first range is where? In, really sharp angle, and the furthest you can go is where? Right here down the line. So you have your entirety of your swing from one place, but it only happens if you set up where? On the angle. Yeah, that's why you start recognizing, like, oh my gosh, if I do this the right way, I have everything all at once. Ready? Swing. Okay, now what you think about third step, heel, chest up, go faster. Go faster. Now, swing. Good. Because I think if you can go a little bit faster on that third step, and remember, what's the rule of 3 to 4? Remember, we go heel to toes. Toes have to jump at the same time so we get maximum output. Because what tends to happen if we step too long, when people jump, what happens? Their right foot is already off the ground. They'll jump off 2 feet, but they don't get the full push on their right foot. Whereas if you go heel toes, you get maximum lift off of both feet. Does that make sense? So that's what we're looking for. And so when we see that, you're just going to get higher. Ready? Heel, toes. Did you see it? Yep. And so you can see your eyes, when you start going this way, your eyes drop. When you come this way, your eyes rise. And this has been like 100% of the time. That when you go to the net, I watch your head gradually drop. When you come angle, I watch your eyes gradually rise, okay? So here you go. Come an angle. You hesitate for this swing. This swing, where's the hesitation when you think you're just going to miss the ball?
I don't know.
Okay, so if you don't know, what does that mean? Then there's no reason to stay stuck with it. You know what I mean? So you're like, okay, and now I'm free to try something. Sometimes we have these like anchors of like belief that stops us from taking action. Because it's like an emotional thing. You're like, well, I took a swing one time and I lost it or whatever, and we carry this emotional anchor, and it's kind of a crazy thing. But when we realize, like, I don't know why I did that, there's really no reason, there is no emotional anchor, what does that mean? You're free to make it better, like instantly. Because there's nothing we have to work through. So you just have to say, okay, on this swing right now, I'm not going to hesitate, I'm just going to go for it. Okay? Ready? Go. Where did you see it a little bit? Yep. And which step is causing that? It's actually your fourth step. Because right now, your third step's been actually pretty good. But when your fourth step goes out, where does it take your momentum? Left. So when you step through the ball, where do we want the momentum to go? Yeah, when you jump, you want to carry an angle. Some of these jumps, the reason you're hitting the ball and you feel trapped between the net is because you're jumping and you're rolling left. So I need you to keep going forward into the angle. Does that make sense? Yeah, so as you push, go forward into the angle. And when you go forward, remember, so when you go forward into the angle, it's going to position a little higher, so you can take angle or allows you to rotate line, but going up, okay? And now, good. Jump hard. I know it feels weird to carry your weight this way, but it's actually what we want, okay? Attack. Swing. But what I look at is when we evaluate what hitters are doing, I look at where you jump from and then where you're landing, and then we can see your momentum line. Does that make sense? So momentum has to carry your hit into your first option. And where's your first option? And we know it's your first option because that's the first place your hit gets you. Exactly. So you have a knowledge now of this that's pretty good, and it's above what most people probably know. They don't think about it that much. They just think this, and this. But you're understanding the technical side of this at a really good level. So now if you understand this, what reason would we ever have to let our momentum carry us sideways? Only on a design set where I'm maybe throwing the ball really fast to the pin because they're in blocking and we want to beat them there, but you're still setting them up to block you angle, and then you jump sideways. That could be a design play. But other than that, these balls are pretty high, so that wouldn't work. So what does that mean on high balls? That you want to get to the ball every single time. Okay? Ready? Now. This one. You're jumping high enough. You can hit that ball. You for sure can hit that ball. Okay? Now. So that's what happens when we don't hesitate, right? And we like that swing. That's an awesome swing. You ready? Here we go. Now. Honestly, I think you're looking at the ball in a different perception, and I think because it's high, I think in your head you're used to wanting to see it on a drop. I think you're telling yourself that it's too high to hit, but you don't know because you haven't fully swung at the ball, so you don't know. What you're going to realize is that you're plenty high for the swing at it. Does that make sense? Just go for it every time. Look at it, look up, swing. You're going to realize you're like, I'm not going to miss the ball. And the reason you're not going to miss the ball is because your timing is actually pretty good, and secondly, your athleticism is good. So when both are good, you're not going to miss the ball. Your eyes are telling you where to go. You're just trying to convince yourself that it's different than where you're used to seeing. So like, how do habits work when you try to change one? Does your brain readily allow you to change it, or is it trying to take you back into the habit? Always takes you back into the habit. So your brain is trying to convince you that seeing the ball flat end on a drop is better than seeing the ball where? Yeah, and so it's trying to convince you of that. So it's like, oh, you can't hit that ball. So it's your own brain is putting doubt into your mind, which is wild because it doesn't want you to change your habit because it takes more energy to change your habit. Remember, your brain is not set up to like give you massive amounts of energy to change habits. Your brain wants to conserve energy by using habits. Does that make sense? So it's like it's total catch-22. So right now what you have to do, override your brain and be like, this is what I'm doing every single time. And then you have to bring the energy into it. Does that make sense? Up. Good, that's awesome. And by you bringing the new energy into it, what's going to come from that? Yeah. But it's gonna take. It's gonna be mentally exhausting because you have to force yourself to do something you don't normally do. But the energy that you bring into it is what's gonna help you change the habit because it's gonna be like a high emotional, like this is positive, this is a good change. Does that make sense? That's why when you're training new stuff, you have to always think about what you're doing, what you're going to do. Like think about the think about the principles, what you're trying to do. You can never negatively evaluate yourself on that because then when you're trying to change a habit, what kind of message are you telling yourself? That it's bad, it's negative, or whatever, and you want to keep it positive. Ready? Jump up, swing. There we go. And I still need to do it faster. That's what's great. Right? There you go. Chest into it. Look up, swing. Did you swing fast or did you delay? Yeah. So simply by delaying, the ball gets away from you. So once you see it, attack it. Once you see it, now attack it. Right? Once you see it, attack it. Go. Ready? Speed that up step. Okay, third step catches it up into the angle. Swing. Now you go like down. That's what's going on in your head on the swings. Yeah, you're telling yourself it's too high. And the funny thing is, it's not too high, you're not jumping. If you jump your hardest, what would happen? Yeah, you hit the crap out of it. So this is where you have to like manual override what you're trying to tell yourself. Is it true or not true? It's a total lie. Yeah, your brain is trying to sabotage you. So just fight through it. Just do it. Jump. Jump too high. Jump. Not even close. You have to think like the way this stuff works out is your brain can be awesome for you and it can totally be the worst thing for you depending on like the relationship you have with it or the understanding you have of it. Does that make sense? And when we try to make changes, your brain hates change because it takes too much, it costs more energy, and so it doesn't want to do that. So you have to override every single time and force yourself to do it. Once you force yourself to do it, then what does your brain do? It says, okay, this is what we're doing, and then it finds a way to make it a habit so that it can conserve energy. But the initial output of energy to change it is massive. And it's more mentally exhausting than it will be physically exhausting for sure, right? Because where's the change happening? Yeah, because the neural connection happens brain to body. So all of the effort happens here first, and then your body will take over. Okay? Now, you started dropping. Yep, you started dropping. I thought your approach was actually really good. Now, which step? No, which step didn't get you there? Third step didn't get you there. Yeah, you went small and you tried to jump out to the ball, and if you jump out, what are you going to do? For sure, catch it on the down. Yeah. So third step, chest up, so it forces your eyes where? There it is. You ready? Step, eyes up, swing. Good. Awesome. Love that swing. Okay, good. Ready? Step, eyes up, swing. That's the stuff right there. Ready? Step, inside, swing. Awesome. That's it. Back, swing. Back inside. See up? Yeah, so you still have to use that ball on the outside and cut it off where you want to go get it. Right? Here we go. See it? That's the big thing with the third step is you're making a definitive decision to cut the ball off. Okay? Ready? Step. Cut it off. Swing. Yep. Good. So that time you lean forward, so you got caught out. Huge commitment. Get to your heel, chest up. Get to your heel, chest up. Swing. Okay. Kick step. Heel, chest up. Jump. Even if you jump your highest and the ball is maybe a little high, but you're tipping at that rate. Remember, it's the speed of into contact that messes people up. So if you're jumping and you're tipping faster, they have less time to prepare. Does that make sense? The more you slow down, the more you get, more time you give them to prepare. So even if you have to tip, just tip it in tempo, maybe jump contact, jump tip, it's harder for them, okay? Swing. That's it. Swing. Yep. Yeah. Anything that looks a little tight, that's what's tripping you up on them. So what do you have to recognize with tight balls? Maybe I have to start doing what? Getting into a tip if I can't get my feet on the angle. Otherwise I'm getting caught down or I'm getting caught in the net. So maybe the answer is on a little bit tighter ball, I gotta learn how to tip or how to shoot the ball or how to stay high and control my arm a little better as opposed to just taking my momentum to the net. Okay? So what do I recommend for starters? Asking them like, hey, what really for me to be at my best, I do better with the ball a little bit and a little bit rather than a little bit and a little bit. Exactly. So that's a communication line you can have with your setters. Hey, we're going to miss this set, let's miss it this way instead of missing this way. Because I imagine if they miss a set, it's probably more tight than it is off. Swing. Great stuff. Ready? Go. Now, what's the chance of your setter being 100% consistent? Yeah, it's not really going to happen. So who has to, that's why the power, if you're running high balls, the power of getting this lined up is in your control of your feet. You just have to realize that I have to have a tool for balls that are a little bit tight. And you recognize that if I can't attack those balls the same way I'm attacking balls that are a little bit off. Does that make sense? So I think I have to get high and make this control that. Ready? Go. Swing. Step. Go. Yeah, usually you get there. A little bigger. Get the chest up right to the ball. Eyes up. Swing. Last two balls. Let's go. I want you to commit to the speed of your approach and your swing. And when I say commit to the speed of your approach, what step am I referring to? Third and fourth, right? And then